Happy President's Day, folks. I'm Graham G.S. Matthews, and welcome back to hashtag AskGSM, where I answer your questions from Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube right here in this video form. I've got the day off today. I'm recording this a little later than usual, because if we had class today, I probably would have been recording this at around 9 o'clock in the morning. But I'm off to the movies, actually, a little bit to go see Zoolander 2. I saw Deadpool over the weekend, which was great. Check it out. That's my one suggestion for you guys here today. Before Raw later. Can't wait for that, and Fastlane on Sunday. So, with all that being said, be sure to send in your questions by tweeting me on Twitter at WrestleRant with the hashtag AskGSM. Find me on Facebook. Get the page an old thumbs up at facebook.com/Graham.Jason.Matthews. Leave a comment on the post I usually put up on Sunday nights or the wall itself. And be sure to leave a comment on this very video. I'll be sure to include it in next week's edition. So not a shitload of questions this week. I know we had a lot of questions last week to answer with RJ and myself. Once again, thanks to RJ for joining me for the third time in the last 2-3 months. Always a great time talking to him here on the show. WrestleRant Radio, just period, RJ is great. So check out that episode from last week for a jam-packed edition. We actually found out minutes before we went live last week, not technically live, but before we started filming, that Daniel Bryan retired. So our genuine reactions are in that video to Daniel Bryan calling it a career, and that was a great promo last week on Raw. But nevertheless, let's get down to this week's questions. Like I said, not as many as usual, so which is better because I'm leaving a little while anyway, so it won't be as long as a video per usual. But anyway, the first KFC from YouTube: did Titus ONeil deserve to be suspended? Absolutely not. I don't want to go on a huge rant about this. The news broke after WrestleRant Radio, after I recorded it on Tuesday. The news broke on Wednesday, so I wasn't able to talk about it. I'll probably go more in depth with it on Tuesday when we record the show. I know RJ has conflicting opinions on this. But no, I don't think he deserved to be suspended. I think, if anything, you could reprimand him by, fining him a bunch of money or suspending him for, if anything, 30 days. I know it got cut down to 60 days, but 90 days, even 60 days is ridiculous. He gets left off of WrestleMania. And it's not like John Cena or the fucking Undertaker or something like that, where it's going to, throw a wrench in their WrestleMania plans. I'm not saying he's going to win the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, but that's a big WrestleMania payday. And to not be a part of that, because not that you're injured, but because you touched the boss's hand, and apparently his excuse was that he was trying to let Stephanie go. I saw the incident. I watched the Daniel Bryan post-Raw video that went up on the network. They have since edited it out from the replay on the YouTube channel and on the network, unfortunately. But you can still find the GIF floating around the internet. But no, I don't think he deserved to be suspended. I thought it was a whole stupid situation. I don't know what's going to come of it, or how he's going to be utilized when he comes back. I know he wasn't winning titles or anything as a singles guy, but he was on a pretty lengthy winning streak before he lost last week to Adam Rose. So take that for what you will. I just thought 90 days, let alone 60 days, is just stupid. For something like that anyway, for someone like Vince to get embarrassed on the network is just so asinine to me. The least you could have done was suspend him for 30 days, maybe a week or two. That's like saying getting busted for the wellness policy for the second time. Not even the first time is as bad as touching the boss's hand in a playful yet physical way, as it was described. Just stupid. The first KFC second question: thoughts on Eli Drake? I've never really been a huge fan of his. I never really was aware of him in NXT at all. I know he was like an enhancement guy, so I wasn't really too aware of his work. But in TNA, I think he's got a good look. He's come a long way since his days. I know that wasn't too long ago when he was teaming with Drew McIntyre and Micah, I think his name was, Camacho rather, in NXT. I didn't give two shits about him. Eli Drake is good. He's got good mic skills. I don't really care for his current feud with Grado. I don't think anyone really cares about that. I like both guys. It's just the feud does nothing for me. I think he's a good talent. I think some people are hesitant to say he's good because he shit on Kevin Owens about a year ago on Twitter. He put a picture of Mr. Puff, the Marshmallow Man from Ghostbusters, with an NXT championship around his waist. And so he was taking a shot at Owens. I'm sure a lot of people didn't take too kindly to that. But other than that, as a talent, I think he's good. I don't know if he's going to be a future world champion, but they need to kind of establish him more as a singles guy and not make him look like a loser on TNA TV. Frankishire 15, who do you predict that will win the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal this year? It's looking like, from what the plans are calling for, Braun Strowman, from what I've read in the last couple of weeks. I don't really want to see that, but it's possible, I guess. So either Braun Strowman, I've heard, Mark Henry tossed around as an idea because it's in Texas and you might call it a career. That would be nice. I know I wasn't too fond of Big Show winning last year, but at least this would have meaning. So Mark Henry, Braun Strowman is I wouldn't hate it, but I mean, it's something, I guess, to kind of further his push as a monster heel. So there's that. I'm trying to think of anyone else, because it's not like the award means anything. You know, when Cesaro won, it was amazing, but he got de-pushed kind of like slowly but surely over the next couple of months in the remainder of 2014, and, you know, he was a tag team guy after that, which was a great tag team, don't get me wrong, but they never did anything on them beyond the winning that Battle Royale at WrestleMania. They completely squandered his momentum, and it wasn't for another year that they finally turned him babyface. And then Big Show was a complete fucking waste. I don't know why they didn't give it to Damian Sandow or Mizdow or whatever you want to call him. I thought that was a complete missed opportunity, because Big Show was off TV the next month. He was off TV for months, and it was a complete waste of a win. But this year, I honestly couldn't care less, but if they can give us a good story with Strowman tossing out like Luke Harper or something, or Mark Henry winning it on his final night in WWE, it'd be nice. Other than that, I don't really have any. No one really jumps out at me. The next question from Frankishire15 is: Chris Jericho deserve one more WWE World Heavyweight Championship run? I think so. I think it'd be cool. He hasn't been a world champion in over 6 years. I mean, Triple H is a current world champion, so never say never, and Jericho's a full-time guy. I think it would have been more likely when we still had the World Heavyweight Championship around. He could have had a run with the world title. He probably would have by now had the title been, you know, if the title was still active. But I think it'd be cool if he got one more reign as champion, especially as a heel. You know, I talked to Jericho last year for the interview, and he made a good point. He talked about it in his Road is Jericho documentary, that Jericho was never a world champion as a babyface. When he held the WCW Championship twice, the Undisputed Championship, and then the World Heavyweight Championship another 3 times from 2008 to 2010, he was a heel every single time, which was very interesting. Out of 6 times, he was a heel every time, which goes to show, I believe, and I've always thought this, you know, he's a great babyface, but he's an even better heel. So it would be nice if we got one more world title reign for Jericho as a heel, hopefully at some point. Like I said, he's a full-time guy. Maybe for like during the summer or during the spring season when it's not WrestleMania season. I don't expect them to put the championship on him going into WrestleMania, especially when there's only one world title. But does he deserve it? Yes. Will it happen? You know, hard to say, but I think he should. I think he should get one more world title reign before he retires, whenever that might be. Moving forward to the Facebook questions here, Mark S., as always, got a couple of them here. First one being, it is rumored that Undertaker might be facing a mystery opponent at WrestleMania. Who would you like to see that mystery opponent be if it happened? So those reports are coming from Braun Strowman Taker match, which I know Mark loved the hell out of. I thought it was a terrible match to do. RJ's giving me shit for it, but understandably so. I'm not saying I hate Braun Strowman. I just don't like the idea of him facing Undertaker at WrestleMania. I think it's way too soon. The match could be shit. I'm not saying it will be shit, but it likely would be shit. I just can't take, you know, Braun Strowman seriously as a threat to the Undertaker, especially given that he's 22-1 at WrestleMania. After, you know, even Bray Wyatt was a bigger name than Braun Strowman was, you know, now than Bray Wyatt was last year, and Brock Lesnar and CM Punk and all the other people he's facing in recent years, Triple H, Shawn Michaels. But anyway, so it seems like that match is all but confirmed to be off the table. I don't think it will be. I mean, we won't really know until after Fastlane, but I still think regardless, Strowman Taker is not going to happen, which is great because I don't think the match would be good. So if it's not going to be Strowman, I imagine it's either going to be someone like a Kevin Owens, who was also reportedly turned down for a match with Undertaker at WrestleMania. For whatever reason, I have no idea. Just because maybe they don't like the idea of Owens going up against Taker. Again, I have no idea why. I think it'd be a great feud and a great match. But if it's not Owens, who I'm putting down here as my answer, that's who I would love to see Undertaker face at WrestleMania. I don't know really who else it can be. I mean, Chris Jericho's a possibility, but it looks like he's already got stuff set up with Styles and Ambrose maybe, which is amazing. It's great they finally have a feud for Y2J that's meaningful and entertaining. So I don't think it's going to be Jericho, but if it's not Jericho or Owens, I'm not exactly sure who else makes as much sense. I'm trying to go down the list of heels right now. Like the League of Nations, I could not care less about. Sheamus and Taker's a match I wanted to see a number of years ago. In 2016, with Sheamus meaning next to nothing right now, it'd be kind of a fucking waste. I don't really know who else from that stable also makes sense. I mean, you have Rusev, you have Barrett, you have Rusev, Barrett, Sheamus, and Del Rio, and none of them really make for exciting matches with Taker at WrestleMania. I did a whole list about a month ago about potential opponents for Taker at WrestleMania, and Daniel Bryan's gone. Finn Balor, I feel like, would be amazing. I just don't think that's happening. I mean, he's currently injured. Not only that, but also he's already kind of set up for an NXT title match that Friday, so I don't really see them having him pull double duty. I mean, I could see when Owens did it at SummerSlam last year with Balor on Saturday at TakeOver and then on Sunday with Cesaro, but that was like an undercard match. A match in a feud with Undertaker is completely different. So I still say Finn Balor's like the dream opponent, but I remain adamant that John Cena could be back in time from injury. He hasn't really completely ruled out the possibility of him coming back in time for WrestleMania, so I still think that's a possibility. So I'm going to put my money on John Cena for now, and then you can ask me again in another 3 or 4 weeks, and we'll see. Because as of right now, it's before Fastlane, and there's still time. So I'm thinking Cena might be back in time. If it's not John Cena, I don't really know who else it could be, because I feel like Balor's a long shot. Owens, they already turned down for whatever reason. They haven't really done him any favors recently. And then Jericho he's already got other stuff set up. So I have no idea. His second question was, who would you like to see win the triple threat main event of Fastlane and face Triple H at WrestleMania for the World Heavyweight title? Of the 3, who would I want to win? Dean Ambrose. Absolutely. I mean, it was only brought to my attention about like a week ago. I realized that Fastlane is in Ohio. It's in I don't think it's in his hometown. It's in his home state, which is good enough. But it'd be amazing if he won. I mean, it doesn't have to be IC champion versus WWE champion. That'd be cool. They already kind of did it with Cena and Rollins last year at SummerSlam, but they could always have him drop the title, tonight on Raw or, at some point before WrestleMania. He doesn't have to be champion going into WrestleMania. And I know Reigns and Triple H is the match that makes the most sense. Ambrose and Triple H doesn't make as much sense, but, the Authority is still... Dean Ambrose has still been the maybe if Reigns is number 1, then Ambrose is number 2 enemy of the Authority and has been for a long time. So it's still not completely, out of the question. Reigns makes the most sense. Reigns is winning on Sunday. It's like pretty much 90% confirmed, unless they swerve us. Lesnar and Triple H doesn't really excite me at all. I would love to see Lesnar in the title picture of Mania, but I don't really want to see Lesnar and Triple H again. Ambrose and Triple H is fresh. It's something that people, I feel like, would not shit all over, like Reigns and Triple H, the possibility there. And I feel like they're going to try to rectify that by including Rock and maybe Daniel Bryan or fucking Shawn Michaels, who gets involved in every single one of Triple H's WrestleMania matches. But who would I want to win? Dean Ambrose. Who is going to win? Roman Reigns. I don't really think there's much question about that. I would love to be wrong, but I doubt anyone really is putting their money against Reigns on Sunday. If Chris Jericho and AJ Styles fight at Fastlane, what stipulation would you like to see placed on their match? Would you really like to see, or I would really like to see the Styles Clash move happen on a chair? What is your opinion? I don't really think it needs to be a stip match at Fastlane. If they continue the feud, and I think they should. Jericho and Styles is a feud I could definitely see going until WrestleMania. That'd be amazing. It'd be better than shoehorning them into 2 separate matches, and I doubt they would be involved in the Battle Royal. Jericho's already said fucking no to that. Thankfully, he would not be involved in the Under the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. Styles, same thing. I feel like he's too big of a star to be shoehorning into that shit. That's for like the losers who have nothing else to do. That they have no idea what else to do with at WrestleMania. So they should continue the feud going into WrestleMania. They could include Owens in there, maybe an Ambrose, for the IC Championship, whatever. But on Sunday, I don't think there needs to be a stip. I don't really think... the feud has been like back and forth. Jericho's still kind of a babyface going on heel. So a no DQ stipulation, I don't know where that would come from. Maybe a future IC title match would be nice. I don't think that's happening, but I'd rather see a stip. One of your... I'll talk about that in a minute, your other questions about Ziggler and Owens. I think for their rumored match on Sunday at Fastlane, we'll find out more tonight on Raw. I don't think there needs to be a step. I think they can have just 3 great wrestling matches, with disqualifications in play, countouts in play, no steps, just straight up wrestling matches, kind of like a good old-fashioned best of 3, best of 5, best of 7 series. You don't really need no DQ matches and steel cage, last man standing. It's nice to blow off a feud, but I don't think this is the end of the feud. And I agree with you. I would love to see a Styles Clash on the chair at some point in WWE. I just don't think we really need to see it at this point in time. His next question, this week the Dudley Boyz turned heel. Do you think it was the right move, or could they have gotten an influential manager to take them to the next level and stayed face? No, I agree. I think it was the right move, just because... They have been kind of feeling a little stale recently just because they really haven't done anything with them. They've just kind of been on Superstars, main event, and what have you over the past couple of months, which I think is a shame. I mean, it's great the Dudley Boyz are putting people over, but I mean, they're former 9-time tag team champions, 23-time tag team champions if you count all the other titles they won in WCW, in ECW, in that company down in Florida that films out of MGM Studios, or rather the Impact Zone or whatever. But anyway, yeah, I think it's great they went heel. I just don't really think a manager would have really helped. I thought the Dudley Boyz and Wyatt family feud was good until they had the match like a million fucking times on Raw and shit. But other than that, I think it's a great move. They got a nice little reaction when they went heel. The promo on SmackDown I thought was really, really well done, and kind of cutting all ties with tables. That's great, because that's what the people chant for anyway, and they kind of pointed out how fans were chanting for the tables more than they were for Devon and Bubba. So it's great. I think it's great logic, and it sets up a fresh match, a fresh feud with the Usos, either at Fastlane or I'm hoping at WrestleMania. That's a match I've wanted to see for a long time now. You include the New Day, it could be a great match. So hopefully, I think the Dudley Boyz will win the tag team titles. They signed on to reportedly for 2 years. So they got to win the belts at some point. I think it should happen at WrestleMania. 20 years in the business, happens on the grand stage. New Day have been champions since SummerSlam. So to have them hold the belts from SummerSlam to WrestleMania, I think is enough. I think that's great. And then, I think it sets up a fresh feud of the Usos. So I think it was a good move, and having them stay face. And we need heel tag teams. We have the Ascension, who are fucking losers. We have League of Nations, who no one gives two shits about. We have the Wyatt family, who aren't really a tag team, but kind of are, but they're not really a regular tag team. They should be, but they're not. And then the New Day, and that's it. We had the Dudley Boyz on the babyface side. We had the Usos, I guess not really the primetime players, because Titus ONeil got suspended. We had those two teams. We had the Lucha Dragons. So we got a couple teams on the babyface side that are strong over teams. Not really so much on the heel side, so I'm glad they turned. His next question, if Dolph Ziggler and Kevin Owens fight at Fastlane, should a stipulation be placed upon that match to make it more interesting, as it could be their last match together in the feud? There definitely should be. Whereas with Styles and Jericho, I don't think there needs to be a no DQ stipulation. It can be just a straight-up singles match, because I'm invested in that feud. This feud, if you can really call it one, I can't really say I care, just because they're kind of trading wins for the sake of trading wins. The matches are good. I like Ziggler, I love Owens, but their matches mean nothing when nothing is at stake. And it's not like and they kind of furthered the feud a couple weeks ago on SmackDown, but it's not like, Owens loses and he gets upset afterwards by kind of tossing shit around at ringside, but it's not like he cuts a promo later on in the night on Raw. The two weren't on SmackDown, so they didn't really get a chance to further their feud there either, so they're probably just putting these two together because they have no better ideas, no better things for them to be doing at the moment. So, if anything, yes, a stipulation should be put in the match at Fastlane. I don't want to really see it again for a fourth time. If there's nothing on the line, if there's no DQ stipulation, then why the fuck should anyone care? If anything, put up a future title shot for the IC Championship, either on Raw or at WrestleMania, and hopefully Owens wins. Ziggler, again, I like Ziggler, but the guy's damaged goods. People know that he's not going to get above a certain level in WWE. Whereas with Owens, he still has a lot of untapped potential, and they're kind of wasting him away right now by not having him cut more promos and win more. He's lost to fucking Dean Ambrose, Dolph Ziggler, Kalisto, you name him. He's probably lost to him in the last couple weeks. So I'm glad, hopefully, I'm going to be glad if they have him win on Sunday, if they even have a match. Hopefully, I would be glad if they had a stipulation to their match on Sunday that is rumored to happen. We'll find out more tonight on Raw, but I don't care about the feud, and I probably wouldn't care about their match unless something is at stake on Sunday. And his last question here, WWE is using a lot of random tag teams at the moment for matches on shows, and specifically, main event superstars and shit. Are there any two guys lower down on the card that you would like to see tagged together and could work better together than individually that could cause a surprise and be really good, like when Tyson Kidd and Cesaro were put together a while back? And that's a great example. I'm not really all in favor of two singles guys getting put together because they have nothing else to do. I mean, I guess it's a decent idea, but they don't really have any chemistry on paper, like, oh, this guy's not doing anything, this guy's not doing anything. Instead of pushing them as singles guys, let's just put them together. And like you said, that works sometimes. It especially worked with Kidd and Cesaro. They had amazing chemistry. I'm hoping that's not the last we saw of them as a team, and when they're both back from their injuries, hopefully they tag team again. That worked with Air Boom, one of my favorite tag teams in WWE in recent years. I thought Evan Bourne and Kingston were a great tag team, and they had a lot of great chemistry. So in terms of current tag teams I would like to see, a few that came to mind, it's not really a tag team, but I would love to see Sandow with the Outcasts just because he's not doing anything right now. The guy's not even on fucking TV, and I feel like putting him with the Outcasts would be nice. Goldust and R-Truth, they've been building towards that in recent weeks with the segments on Raw and stuff, which are funny. Sometimes more, I feel like they're hit or miss, but more often than not, they are funny. It would give both guys something to do. I could not care less about R-Truth, but if he was put with Goldust, it could be like a funny Booker T Goldust-esque tag team from like 2002. And then also Breeze and Fandango. Originally, I would have kept Breeze as far away from Fandango as humanly possible, but because Breeze is also now a glorified loser on the roster, not in terms of talent, but in terms of how he's been booked, I don't really see what the harm would be. And they're not doing anything with the guy right now. They're not doing anything with Fandango, who I don't really care about it at all. But they have similar gimmicks, and Fandango's kind of a heel baby face. I don't really know, and I don't really care. But at least they would have good chemistry. So Breeze and Fandango, Goldust and R-Truth, and Sandow and the Outcast, and putting them in that group. At Brad Burdar, moving forward for the Twitter questions here. What do you think was the funniest Team Hell moment? They had a lot of them, but the first two that came to mind when I was thinking back on like the best of Team Hell No, they might have showed it last week when they did the whole video package on Team Hell No during Bryan's retirement promo, or before his retirement promo last week on Raw. The one where they were in the diner, it was straight out of a movie. I forgot the name of the movie, but it was a great homage to the movie, and they had him screaming over dinner, and Mae Young was sitting in the booth. It was hilarious. They did the same thing with Kurt Angle and Christy Hemme about 10 years ago for WrestleMania 21 Gone Hollywood. That was funny too. But that one, the whole therapy sessions, the first few ones, I mean, they were all funny, but the first ones where they were with Dr. Shelby, who put out a video last week about Daniel Bryan's retirement, which was great, by the way. But it was like August of 2012, and Kane was going through his whole back history about how he buried The Undertaker twice, how he had a fucking dysfunctional family. It was pure humor. Like, WWE does humor very wrong sometimes because they don't really have funny people writing their scripts, but that was genuinely funny stuff. But above all else, my favorite segment, I would have to say, and it's only about a minute long, you can find it on YouTube, is when the same night that D-Bry and Kane teamed with Taker rather, to take on the Shield on Raw in England. A rare Raw in-ring appearance for Taker. But before that, before Taker resurfaced on Raw, you had Bryan and Kane backstage, and Bryan was going over diagrams. He was like, diagrams, with Kane to take out the Shield, because up to that point, they'd yet to be beaten. Like, it was really, really funny. I watched it last week during Raw, because I probably got bored or something. I was watching with RJ. But it was a funny promo, and that was probably my favorite and funniest Team Hell in the moment to me. That one, and also after they won the tag team titles, and Kane took the cooler and he poured the water all over Daniel Bryan. He said he was going to Disney World. Stuff like that. Like, those two were such a great oddball tag team that really worked for whatever reason. They just had such awesome chemistry together. They were super funny. His second question, who would be the best possible person to induct Daniel Bryan into the WWE Hall of Fame? I've heard, CM Punk, which is not going to happen, at least anytime in the near future, if they plan on inducting Bryan in the next couple of years. I don't think it should be this year, maybe next year. Why not just wait? But I wouldn't blame them. I mean, he's worthy. I just don't think it needs to happen like ASAP. But yeah, I've heard CM Punk. Brie Bella, having your wife induct you, I feel like is a little, I don't know. I don't know. That doesn't really make much sense. I know she's married to him, but still. Not Brie Bella. I was thinking William Regal. I thought William Regal would be a great inductor for Daniel Bryan. I'm not just saying that because I love William Regal. I'm saying that because they have such great history. Daniel Bryan himself, mentioned by name last week in the Raw retirement promo. He only name dropped like maybe 2 or 3 people. I know he thanked a lot of people, and especially his wife. But in terms of the best moments in his career, he name dropped Kane and William Regal. Kane I could see doing the induction too, but I feel like William Regal had more of an influence early on in his career. And Shawn Michaels I've heard, but as CM Punk said on commentary that one time, that Shawn Michaels only kind of took his money because he went to his wrestling school. William Regal was a real mentor to Daniel Bryan getting in the business, kind of throughout his entire process. And even early on in NXT, William Regal was not his pro in NXT when he really should have been. I don't know why he wasn't. But they did have a few interactions on that show. They had that great Superstars match in England in, I think, late 2011 on November 11th, I think it was, or 10th, rather. So, yeah, I feel like William Regal would be the best possible inductor, if not Kane or someone like that. Favorite and least favorite NXT Tag Team Champions thus far. I thought this would be an easier question than I thought it would be. Oh, and he also said excluding Bo Dallas filling in for Oliver Gray, and that happened like 2013. It's really not, actually, because I'm looking up and down. There have not been that many NXT Tag Team Champions. The titles got instituted in 2013, so it's been about 3 years. But we've had a lot of long reigns. The Ascension were champions for a year. And I would say they were my least favorite just because I thought they were just fucking boring as shit. So probably them. I put the Vaudevillains down as my least favorite because I never really cared for the Vaudevillains. I was there when they won the belts, but they held them all for like 2 months before dropping them. So maybe the Vaudevillains, but the Ascension are also kind of up there because their reign never really seemed to end. For a full year, they were champions. It was almost a waste. Just because they never really did anything. They were so boring. And every week they would come out facing, no-namers. But either the Vaudevillains or Ascension, my favorite tag team champions thus far. I like the Lucha Dragons. Blake and Murphy never really did anything for me. I liked Neville and Corey Graves for as long as they were together. That wasn't really that long. I would have to say Dash and Dawson. I know they're the most recent tag team champions. They really haven't been teaming that long. I mean, they haven't been champions that long, but they've really come into their own over the last couple of months. Their match in London against Cass and Enzo really won me over. I thought that was a great match. So, favorite tag team champions, Dash and Dawson. Least favorite, probably either Vaudevillains or the Ascension. Push one, turn one face or heel, and release one. Dolph Ziggler, Neville, and Kevin Owens. This is a little, and it's not really that hard, but these two are interchangeable. I would say push Neville and turn Owens, just because I don't know how well Neville would work as a heel. I think his moveset just screams babyface, so I would turn Owens just because I think he could get over as a babyface. He's so well liked anyway. I think he could work. I'd push Neville. He's doing next to nothing right now, and I would release Ziggler. That's one thing I would not change, just because he's done it all. He feels stagnant as all hell right now. There really is no hope for a main event push that I thought he deserved. So I don't really think there's much in the way of a main event push coming along the lines at any point in the near future. So I would release him, turn Owens, and push Neville. Favorite WrestleMania theme song since you started watching WWE? I'm pretty sure I did a video blog on this about a year ago, right before WrestleMania, so you can check that one out for the full list. I think these were my top 3. I might be wrong, but Written in the Stars by Tiny Tempa for WrestleMania 27, Light It Up by Rev Theory for WrestleMania 24, and I Made It by Kevin Rudolph for WrestleMania 26. I know Light It Up and Written in the Stars were, I think those were 1 and 2. And I don't know if I Made It was number 3, but I was trying to go, in my head, go through the songs that we've had for the past number of, in recent years for WrestleMania. None of them have really screamed like, oh, that was my favorite. I liked a lot of them. We've had a lot of great WrestleMania theme songs. My House by Flo Rida is also really good, but I think those are my top 3. Written in the Stars, Light It Up, and I Made It. At Cody Collier 37, moving forward to the Twitter questions. Not a lot of them. We've got a couple this week. So at Cody Collier 37, what do you think is the most underrated Daniel Bryan match and why? I'm going to kind of answer and I'm going to kind of dodge the question at the same time, just because I'll be writing an article about this for What Culture in like the next week or so. So I'm not going to give away the full list. It's 10 underrated Daniel Bryan matches. I'm tempted to say the one that he had with Regal in England. A lot of people, any longtime Regal or Bryan fans know the match I'm talking about, have seen it and like it. I just think it's underrated because it didn't really get seen by a lot of people. It was on Superstars of all things. This is, even now, the show doesn't mean jack shit, but even in 2011, nobody really watched the show. So I would say that one, the one with Regal in England, I thought it was an amazing match, a lot of history, a lot of great technical wrestling. So probably that one, but there's been a whole bunch, and like I said, I'll kind of dodge the question because I'll be answering it in more depth for What Culture over like the next week, so be on the lookout for that. At Swagzio, what is your favorite, or what is Daniel Bryan's lowest moment in wrestling other than retiring, and what is his worst match? Great question. I felt like I had a harder time answering the second part of the question than the first. Lowest moment, I'm sure a lot of people will tell you WrestleMania 28 losing in 18 seconds. I guess that's the easy answer just because he lost in 18 seconds at WrestleMania and he lost the World Heavyweight Championship, but at the same time, it was one of the best things that could have ever happened to him. He was over as fuck. I don't care what anyone says. He was over as all hell the next night on Raw, and that really kind of kicked off the Yes Movement, as it was called, in the years that followed. So I mean, in storyline, it was the worst moment he ever had. But, in reality, I really thought it kind of kicked off one of the best years of his career, the best year of his career up to that point. 2012, he had the world title, and he was over as all fuck that spring and summer, and even during the fall. But he had those great matches with CM Punk, and then he teamed with Team Hell No with Kane. So 2012, I don't really think was a bad year for Daniel Bryan in retrospect. His worst match was a lot harder to answer just because you can't get a bad match out of Daniel Bryan. I'm not including matches that lasted like all of 10 seconds. Like a match with fucking Zack Ryder on Raw that went a minute or two. I'm not including matches like that, but matches that come to mind that were just genuinely bad. The only match that I could think of that I didn't like of Daniel Bryan's was the match, and it had nothing to do with him, the match with Orton at Battleground 2013, one of my least favorite all-time pay-per-views for WWE since I've been a fan, just because that whole pay-per-view sucked. Not everything. The Cody Rhodes and the Rhodes Brothers versus Shield match was one of the best matches of the year, but everything else in that show was horrible. I think the first pay-per-view I did not watch live, and I think 3.5 years, just because I was busy. I didn't give a shit about the pay-per-view, so I didn't watch it. And it turned out to be the best thing I ever did because the show sucked. But yeah, that match wasn't good. And the worst part about it was that, him and Orton had better matches before that and after that. I just thought this match wasn't really good. I didn't care. It was a placeholder. And then Big Show got involved, and the match ended in a no contest in the main event of a fucking pay-per-view. So yeah, that match with Orton at Battleground 2013, I don't know if it was his worst match, but that's the one that came to mind. And his lowest point in wrestling, probably WrestleMania 27. I didn't really answer that question. Not WrestleMania 28. I would say WrestleMania 27 because him and Sheamus were set to steal the show that night at WrestleMania. I just remember being so pissed finding out that he was kicked off the card with Sheamus and then bumped to the pre-show. I was waiting all night for that match and we never got it. So probably that one because there weren't really many good things that came out of that. It wasn't like, he was so over the next night on Raw. I mean, he was moved to SmackDown right afterwards and that was about it. So probably WrestleMania 27 being his lowest point in wrestling and his worst match. In my opinion, my least favorite Bryan match would probably be Orton in Battleground. Orton, versus Orton at Battleground 2013. What is one feud that you started to enjoy but one stupid segment or angle ruined it for you? That's a great question. I don't have a good answer for you, unfortunately. I couldn't think of anything. I'm sure if I really, really racked my brain for an answer, I could probably come up with something. I don't know, just because I try not to let that bother me. Like, if I'm really digging a feud, I try not to let, like, a bad segment or a bad angle try to ruin it. So, I don't know. It's hard to say. Coming to my mind, I can't think of anything. I'm sure there's one feud out there, excuse me, from the last couple of years that I really enjoyed, and then a stupid segment or angle kind of ruined it, like you said. I just can't think of anything. So I'm going to have to pass on that one for right now. If I think of anything, I'll talk about it in a future episode. But as of right now, nothing really comes to mind. At Sean Markistic, his question was, your favorite feud since you started watching wrestling? I've talked about this before. Orton and Christian from 2011, the matches they had, the storytelling. I know Christian was world champion for all of 2 days. But even despite that, I thought the matches were amazing. Every match they had was great. I mean, some were better than others, but they were all pretty much amazing. We got a heel Christian run out of it, and it was just happening around the time that the summer of 2011, the whole Punk and Cena feud that was also among my favorites. That feud, and also Dean Ambrose and Rollins is getting up there just because of the history they have and how they keep on going back to it every now and again makes it one of my favorite feuds. So that one might be my favorite feud a couple years down the line. But as of right now, Orton and Christian, no doubt. Who will beat New Day for the titles and when? When? I'm thinking, like I said earlier, I'm thinking it's the Dudley Boyz at WrestleMania. I don't think it will happen. I just think it should happen. The Dudley Boyz as heels, as champions. We haven't seen it in a long, long time. It's something new for them. It's something new for the tag team division because the New Day have pretty much run through all their potential opponents. They beat the Dragons. They've beaten the Usos. They've beaten the Primetime Players. They've beaten everybody. So I would go with the Dudley Boyz. They've beaten the Dudley Boyz too, but the Dudley Boyz are now heel. They were babyface when they first feuded the New Day. So I would just go with the Dudley Boyz at WrestleMania. I say WrestleMania just because they'll be celebrating 20 years in the business at WrestleMania 32. Not like that day, but that month they'll be celebrating 20 years as a tag team. So and they talked about that in the past. And they'll probably acknowledge if it happened. I know it would be a little bit different if they were heels, but who the fuck cares? I think it'd be cool. and it kind of switches up the landscape of the tag team division. So who will beat New Day? Who should beat New Day? I feel like it should be the Dudley Boyz. If not, like Enzo and Cass, but I feel like they'll get called up after. They could get called up as soon as like after Fastlane. I just think they should hold off until after WrestleMania because I don't want to see them involved in a throwaway multi-team tag team title match when they could just debut the night after WrestleMania. They'd be over as fuck. So yeah, I'd go for Dudley Boyz at WrestleMania 32. Final two questions here. First one coming from at the Average Grunt. What are your top 5 favorite submission holds? I don't know. I mean, someone else asked me about this before. Like my favorite submission hold ever. I don't know. I don't really have favorite submissions. You know, the only two that I could think of were the Lion Tamer. The Walls of Jericho can be brutal, but the Lion Tamer looks like you're going to fucking break your neck when Jericho locks it in on the smaller guy. So probably the Lion Tamer and the Anaconda Vice. It's not all that intricate of a maneuver. It's like not that fancy. It's a very simple maneuver, but just because they've done it like before in like my MMA class and stuff, and it's a very simple move to do, and just the way that Punk executed it was great. So Anaconda Vice and Lion Tamer. There's probably other moves that aren't coming to mind, but I can't even think of 5, to be honest with you, that I would consider my favorite. But Anaconda Vice, because I think it's just fucking cool and it's easy to do, and the Lion Tamer, just because that looks fucking cool. At RJ_Mars, so the final question of the day, thoughts on AJ Styles losing on SmackDown? I didn't mind it, but the internet hasn't taken it well. You know, I don't know about you. I mean, you said you've seen people that haven't taken it well. I don't know. I've looked at the internet, not looked at the internet, but looked at like reviews and stuff and whatever. I haven't seen too many people complaining about Styles losing on SmackDown. I've seen some people just fucking, complaining about it for no reason, but it's not that big of a deal. I think it's great. Not that I wasn't happy that Styles lost, but I didn't have a problem with it at all. I mean, we watched the show together. I really didn't think it was that bad at all. He lost clean. It evens the score and makes the third match that much more meaningful. Jericho has one match won. Styles has one match won. And both bouts were really, really good. The first one was very good. The second one I thought was great. If you didn't watch SmackDown last week, you're really missing out. The whole show I thought was awesome. SmackDown on the whole has been just fucking phenomenal, no pun intended, for the past month and a half since they moved to USA Network. But yeah, I don't think it was that big of a deal. I think it evened the score, like I said, so kind of put them on the same playing field. I would have liked it if Jericho, cheated to win to kind of further his impending heel turn, or at least from what it looks like. But other than that, I thought it was a great match, a great ending. Styles isn't losing to people like Heath Slater, guys. He's not losing to losers. Jericho, whatever you might think of him, it is an established name. Like you said, RJ didn't mind it, but some people did. Some people are freaking out. Oh, we lost already on SmackDown. I mean, who cares, people? It's Chris Jericho. He's a top guy. He's a 6-time world champion, the first ever undisputed champion, 9-time IC champion. I won't run down all of his accomplishments, but you know that he's a credible competitor. It's not going to kill Styles to lose one fucking match. I love AJ Styles. He's probably my favorite right now. With Punk gone and everyone else hurt or retired or whatever, he's probably my new number one. And if I didn't really have a problem with it, not to say that no one else should, but I'm just telling you that Styles is my new favorite. I didn't have a single issue with him losing on SmackDown. It was to Jericho. It came after a great match. Furthers the feud. I'm all for it. I'm looking forward to the likely third match, the likely rubber match. Hopefully at either Fastlane or I'm fingers crossed for WrestleMania. I think if they can drag the feud out that long, and they can, I feel like it'd be a great get for WrestleMania. It'd be a great match for Styles to take part in. And be just a great match, period. So I'm looking forward to that when it happens. But that is #AskGSM for today, guys. I appreciate you sending in the questions. You can do so by tweeting me on Twitter at WrestleRant with the #AskGSM. Find me on Facebook, like the page at facebook.com/Graham.gsm.Matthews. Leave a comment on the post I usually put up on Sunday nights, or on the wall itself, or you can leave a comment on this very video. I'll be sure to include your question in next week's edition. So with all that being said, guys, as always, be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. All support is greatly appreciated. We'll be back next week with our post-Fastlane episode, so I'm looking forward to answering your questions about the pay-per-view. So be sure to send in your questions after the show goes off the air. There's not really a deadline for when you should be sending in your questions. I usually record this on a regular Monday, a non-holiday Monday, around like 9 or 10. So be sure to send it in, Sunday night, early Monday morning, and otherwise I'll just include it in the next week's episode. So again, guys, thanks once again for watching. I appreciate it. Enjoy your President's Day. Enjoy Raw tonight and enjoy Fastlane on Sunday. I'm Graham GSM Matthews, and I'll catch you folks down the road.